Meantime, we're going to focus on this beautiful pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's to do with this king, Maharaj Citraketu. And I'm very excited because, you know, whenever we go through Bhagavatam, there's going to be tons of realizations. There has been for me. And this is like, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've read this story. It's been many times. But each time I'm reading it, I'm thinking something new. Even putting this together, I was thinking of other things as well. So I'm very excited for you to get this. And like we've been stressing, all the answers in life are in Srimad Bhagavatam. Any difficulty you're going through right now, you can transcend it by disappearing into the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the leaders you can find there. You may not believe it, but hopefully we're going to experience it to some degree over the next few weeks. This has been stressed by Srila Prabhupada, by Bhaktisiddhanta, by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by all the acharyas. This is the solution for every problem in life, whether you know it or not. Yeah? And so on Thursdays we should try and taste the solution, right? Not just talk about it. Okay, we still have people entering online. Fantastic. So I've entitled this King Citraketu, Triumph Amongst Adversity. How many of you are familiar with Citraketu's Leela, his story? Just put your hands up. Okay, so not many of us, right? How many don't know at all anything? Zero. Okay, so this will be very exciting for you. Because you're going in cold, there'll be a lot of stuff, a lot of drama. Like we experienced with Queen Kunti, what she went through, nobody pretty much on this planet will go through, maybe in several lifetimes. Cumulatively, may not go through what she went through. Citraketu is another one of these, on a similar sort of level. Hey Surya, Hare Krishna. But what's quite interesting with King Citraketu is going to be multiple lifetimes. Can you remember any other personalities from the Bhagavatam we've discussed that we follow their journey over multiple lifetimes? One in particular, maybe? Yeah, King Bharat. And what was his sojourn? What was his journey? Yes, man to deer to man. Yeah, exactly. Well put. So Citraketu is going to be slightly different. And for those of you, again, who don't know, this will be extremely interesting. I'm kind of doing this slightly different from the way it flows in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you'll see why in a few moments. And the idea is this is the first part of maybe 3-part seminar. So this first part is 40-something slides, so it will take maybe a few weeks anyway. And then I'll get the second part ready, which will be shorter, and then the third part, which will be as long, if not longer. And in that way, we hopefully will have dissected a lot of his life, and there'll be a lot of discussion points as well. And hopefully we'll go deeper into our bhakti journey as a result of this. I'm convinced we will. But I want you to be convinced on your own terms too. So we'll see how it goes. Does anyone know what the word Citraketu means? Any ideas? So it's a bit complicated. Chitra, like you know we have Chitralekha, Chitrapriya, Chitra... Huh? Picture? Not quite, no. Like Chitralekha, what does lekha mean? Right, so Chitra means one who writes very beautifully. Yeah? So it can mean beautiful, it can mean brilliant, like, you know, flashing brilliance. Yeah? So we have Chitra, so something like bright or brilliant or beautiful. And Ketu can mean, it can mean a couple of things. It can mean a banner, like, you know, you have a banner with a sign. Like, you know, for many, many years, Granby Street had no sign. Now all of a sudden there's a banner, and at least 2 in every 100 people know where to go, right? So there's a bit of a banner going on, something clear. You don't know how many complaints there were about that. No one does anything. It's almost like they want the temple to be a secret place. But anyway, now at least there's a banner, so there's some flow coming towards the temple, and lo and behold, there are people, new people coming. Wonders never cease. Or it could be a flag, yeah? So kind of like a bright banner or a bright flag, which basically means someone who's realized something and is announcing it to the world. That makes sense? So inherently you could understand there's going to be some heavy stuff that will happen in Citraketu's life, and as a result of that he'll be waving this life lesson to all of us included, and we'll be hopefully progressing and not digressing by learning about his realizations, rather than have to come to that realization ourselves over many, many lifetimes, and we're going through many lifetimes and many moments now and still not coming up with a realization. Hopefully King Citraketu through the pages of the Bhagavatam will give us that realization to us very quickly. But then of course it's up to us what we want to do about it. Is that okay? Yeah. Do you like the slide? Yeah? It's good, yeah? Yeah. I'm on it. When I want to be artistic, I can be. It's just that I'm not naturally an artist. But if there's a deadline, then I could get suddenly creative. But anyway, that's like, the best posters we have at Vrtrasura is the ones that I've designed, right? Isn't it? Best T-shirt we have. No one's wearing it today, but I designed that T-shirt. Yogini as well, but I designed it basically. I gave Yogini the instructions, the directions, the vision, everything. She just put it into practice, which is, a minor point. But it was me. She'll agree as well. Okay, so yes, how to gain a brilliant understanding from life. We're going to be doing that through King Citraketu. Excellent, excellent. So what's happening in this picture? I'm just trying to give you the context again of the Bhagavatam. I know we studied this. Some of you have done the Bhagavatam course. But whether you've done it or not, just to give us some context, this is from a book called the Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you got the Srimad Bhagavatam at home? Okay, let's put it this way. How many don't have the Srimad Bhagavatam at home? Put your hands up in shame. How many? Yes. Purchase one. I've actually got one free set. I announced it. It's there. It's free. So if you want it, let me know. It's the Prabhupada set. The one that goes up to chapter 13, I think it is. Up to the point where Prabhupada passed away. It was the first set that I ever read as well. And it's very small. It's like each one is about this size. So you could put it somewhere quite easily. So if anyone wants that, great. If anyone wants to buy one, obviously it's the best thing to have at home. So what's happening in this picture here? Who can tell me what's going on here? Don't tell me people are sitting. I don't mean like that. I mean like what's actually happening here. Some lecture or sangha, good? Yes, this person, which one? In blue and naked, right? This is Shukadeva Goswami, completely off the bodily platform. Therefore, he's not even understanding the external so much. So wearing clothes, not wearing clothes, whatever. He's going around like this, and he's transcendental, which is why he's got this bluish facade going on. And who's this person kneeling here? Yes, so this is another king, Parikshit. Can you tell me anything about Parikshit? What's he famous for? Come, what's he famous for?
7 days to live.
Yeah, he was cursed to die in 7 days. Yeah? So he abandons everything, goes to the bank of the Ganga, and then who comes? Shukadeva Goswami eventually comes, and he asks a couple of questions. What's the duty of any man, and what's the duty of someone who's about to die? And then from that we get a few more questions, and we get the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So out of someone's adversity, we get the complete solution to life. Okay? And there's a lot to learn. Even maybe one day we could do a seminar on Parikshit. It's very beautiful, how he gets to this realization. And then who are these sages here? Can you spot any famous sages amongst them? Who have we got? Anyone? Yeah, can you see Narad Muni there with his Veena?
Yeah, Narad.
And there's somebody else there that's a bit bluish. Who's that supposed to be? Is he bluish? Yeah, who's that? Related to Sukadev. Huh? Yes, his father is Vedavyas, Vyasadev, the one who put the scriptures into writing at the turn of Kali Yuga. So the person who came out with Srimad Bhagavatam is now rehearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the idea that Bhagavatam can be spoken again and become even sweeter based on the realization of the speaker. So much so that even the person that wrote it down comes to hear. And Yamaraj is supposed to be in the audience as well. Don't tell me which one he is, but he's there. So death is suspended wherever there's Srimad Bhagavatam being spoken. Yeah? And so he's come here to find out what to do. He's about to die. And then they have this discourse. And there's so many amazing sages at different levels. Some extremely elevated in terms of bhakti. Some elevated in terms of the other limbs of the yoga ladder. And some like less so. But they've all understood from the astrology, from intuition, ultimately from Paramatma, something special that's never going to be repeated is going to happen on the banks of the Ganga. We should all go there. So it wasn't they got a WhatsApp message or a telegram or a letter. They knew something that's going to be a one-off in a lifetime that will be beneficial is going to happen. So they were all there. They came there before Shukadev. And then Parikshit was asking that question to them. And while they were thinking, who should speak, who knows the best, who comes, Shukadev comes. And then they give him a chance to ask Shukadeva Goswami. Yeah? So he's the speaker at one level of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this conversation has been referenced within another conversation. What is that conversation? I haven't got a picture, I should have brought that picture here. Sutta Goswami and sages in Naimisharanya. So what happens is Sutta Goswami anyway, long story short, we're kind of digressing. We won't get through so much if we go through every single layer. But Sutta Goswami is a master of the Puranas, he's been taught, and his father was the one that was famously giving class while Balaram was going on parikram, and he remained seated. So he's the one that's giving Bhagavatam or discourses to everyone else, but when he sees Bhagavan himself, he doesn't get off the Vyasasan. So to set him right, Balaram gets a blade of grass and kills him with that blade of grass. The idea is you should be more humble than the straw in the street, right? Trinada Pisuni Chena. So he kills him. He could have killed him with anything. He gets a blade of grass just to show. Anyway, the sages there get a bit distraught because they'd given him a benediction, and he says, the son is as good as the father. He empowered Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami learns, he travels, he comes to a forest called Naimisharanya. There are many sages, headed by one sage in particular, Shonaka Rishi, and they're doing this yajna for the benefit of mankind. And all that's happening is fire is burning wood, and that's turning into smoke, and that smoke is covering their body. And they're thinking, what's going on here? What should we do? In the meantime, Sutta Goswami comes, and they ask him a few questions, and he starts speaking Bhagavatam, because he heard it. And he's referencing this conversation here as well. Yeah? So the sages in Naimisharanya asked him a question. He's saying, this is somewhat similar to the questions that the sages here asked. And this is what Sutta Goswami said, and Sutta Goswami referenced another time in history. And it's going back and forth from different timelines like that. Yeah? Does that make sense? Like, say if you've got a question about humanity, you go to a historian, the historian references a different point in history and then comes back into the classroom and they say, what about this? And they go into, I don't know, Malcolm X and stuff like that. And they keep going back and forth. It's a little bit like that, but also another level, another conversation that's referring to that conversation, which is referring to different moments in time. Yeah? But it makes sense, ultimately. Okay, so we're going to be speaking about this Leela. Again, I'm not going to go into it in detail now. This will be in the third part of the seminar, but I'm just going to make a reference. I was even debating whether to even make a reference now, but I think it's okay because it was, when we finish it, it will sandwich it quite nicely. Does anyone know what this picture is of? Vrtrasura. Yes, what does Vrtrasura mean? Asura means? Demon, right? The Asuras of Vrindavan. Yeah? Vrta means to cover. So you could almost understand if you put that together, Vrta, one who covers, and Asura, demon, means one who's so big that they're covering the skyline, that they're covering the horizon, they're covering every part of your ability to perceive anything. They're that massive. And who's here on the elephant? Indra, yes, the demigod Indra. So there's a whole battle that happens, and while this is being narrated to Parikshit Maharaj by Shukadev Goswami, it transpires that Vrtrasura is actually very Brahminical. He's not attached to the result, but he still does his duty, accepting destiny. And he speaks many verses which were highly devotional, extremely beautifully devotional, and we'll be going through that in the third part of the seminar, much later on. And Parikshit is understanding this person is one of the topmost devotees, but he's a demon. He's killing people, annihilating people, striking terror into people, comes about in a seemingly inauspicious way, but nonetheless, he's definitely more of a devotee than Indra is, and Indra is supposed to be a good devotee. And even if we're talking about a devotee's devotee, he sounds like he's up there. These verses, they're no joke, right? They're the topmost in poetry in terms of bhakti composition. So naturally, he starts wondering, a demon's supposed to be in a mode of passion. Like ghosts and ghouls, they're in mode of ignorance, and demons, daityas, they're in the mode of passion. Demigods are supposed to be in the mode of goodness, and you've got devotees who are transcendental to the modes as well. But demon is supposed to be in the mode of passion, no? But here we've got someone who's a demon, but it seems to be like beyond the modes, embodying all the instructions of the Shastra, especially the topmost Shastra. How can that be the case? That doesn't seem to make any sense. How would someone who's a demon become a devotee? Even more than Indra, the person he's fighting, he's supposed to be fighting on behalf of the Lord, right? So it's a natural question that comes about in the discourse. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking Sukadev Goswami, how did this person become a devotee? What's the story to this? etc. And so, before we get into that, they discuss how rare it is to become a devotee. And this is good just to put things into perspective for us, because sometimes we could be practicing Krishna consciousness to some degree, a greater or lesser degree, and after a while we could take things for granted and we think, well, anyone could do this and how special is it, and all of these doubts could come into the mind. But just to help us understand how rare it is to become a devotee, whatever the external form looks like, being a devotee is extremely rare. So let's just quickly study this for a few moments. Can someone read out this verse for me? This is just establishing that point Maharaj Parikshit made. So yeah, here.
Demigods situated in the mode of goodness and great saints cleansed of the dirt of material enjoyment hardly ever render pure devotional service at the lotus feet of Mukunda. Therefore, Vrtrasura have become such a great devotee.
So this is what he's speaking about, and then Shukadeva Goswami talks about the rarity of devotion. So I've just got this diagram here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can see it clearly from the back, but I'll speak it out anyway. So obviously it's like concentric circles, one inside of another, and then it starts off outside in the white, yeah? And so Shukadeva Goswami is saying that in the material world, there's pretty much as many living entities as there are atoms. Like, whether that's more figurative, but basically there's bare living entities, bare jivas, every blade of grass, they say every germ, right? There's a jiva in there. So, I mean, if every germ, every microbe has got it, there's tons. That's shocking, right? Like tons of stuff, right, going on there. So there's so many jivas, as many as atoms you could kind of comprehend like that, unlimited almost. And remember, this is just one universe. There's innumerable universes, yeah? And so there's so many of those, and amongst all of them, maybe a handful, figuratively speaking, are interested in following some sort of dharma, religious practice. Right? We can see that increasingly in Kali Yuga, isn't it? Most people just want to live and do whatever makes them feel good, and some people have some restraint. No, we should live for God. We should have some regulative principle. Nehayat Kama Dhamaya. Devahuti is listening to her son, Kapila. He's an expansion of the Lord, and he makes this point that actually spirituality doesn't start unless your activity turns into dharma. If your karma doesn't become dharma, you can't even claim to be starting spirituality. Yeah? So nehayat karma dharmaya. But then na vedagaya kalpate. If that dharma doesn't lead to some form of renunciation from enjoying this world, then you're not really progressing. So here we can see a few humans from this follow some sort of dharma. But of them, a few less are interested in this idea of moksha or liberation. What are the four goals of the Vedas? Seemingly, what are the four goals? Yeah, you can speak loud if you want. Yes, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So only 1/4 is talking about moksha. Moksha means not just being happy to be pleasantly situated in this world. Yeah? That I'm comfortable here, I'm doing a bit of my religion, that's all that's required, right? That's not enough for a real spiritual seeker. Material happiness is not enough for me. Material comfort, material peace of mind is just material. It will come and go. What is higher? What is that mukti? Okay, what is that liberation? So among thousands of people following religious principles, only a few desire liberation. Like if you ask most people, we've spoken about this in the yoga ladder, why do you want to go to heaven? Because you can enjoy that. Eternally, you can enjoy it. So it's still the enjoying mentality, right? Of whatever I see, taste, touch, hear, if my senses meet the sense objects, whether it's here or in heaven, that's cool, right? So that's not real liberation still. So even amongst, if you look at millions of people practicing religion, what percentage actually want liberation? It's very rare, isn't it? They might talk about it once in a while, but to really pursue it, I'm talking about, is really rare. So then after that, so we're on this bit here, then we're going a bit more inwards here. Among many thousands who are desiring liberation, one on this earth may actually achieve liberation, giving up many types of attachments. So they're here. You've heard of this term, Jivan Mukta, means actually even though they're in the body, they're liberated. So they're not liberated geographically, but they're on here, on the earth, traveling around, not attached to family. They could walk around, not be enticed by anything. They're kind of free. Okay? But then it said, after that, among many such thousands of liberated people, only one can understand the true meaning of liberation. So a person who actually gets liberated without falling down and who could enter into the Brahma Jyoti, it's only one amongst many thousands, amongst many hundreds of thousands, amongst many trillions. Yeah? So even just to go into Brahma Jyoti is very rare. But in amongst all of these entities, one may become a true devotee of Krishna or Narayan, which is like right in the center. Yeah? And this is segueing into how rare it is to be like this demon Vrtrasura. Yeah? Interesting, isn't it? So what we have, we should never take for granted. And if anything, listening to this, we should be thinking how to go deeper. Because actually, Vrtrasura is a clear demon. But I've got so many demonic qualities myself. And actually, is Vrtrasura a demon? A demon means someone who's taken you away from spiritual truth. Someone, something, some principle, some institution, some knowledge is taking you further and further away from spiritual reality and getting you more and more engrossed into thinking you're the body and entangling you in that misconception. To that degree, it's demonic. Make sense? So actually, we hear in Kali Yuga, actually the demon and the divine, they're in one person. So actually, there's a percentage of us that's more demonic and a percentage that's slightly less that being more divine. We need to somehow become more divine than demonic, right? And so we've got the right thing, we just need to invest more into taking the medicine. Yeah, and then we could be one of those people. Okay, so this is a very famous verse. I think we haven't got time because we started late. I was going to recite the Sanskrit. But yeah, can someone read this out? Somebody else who's not spoken thus far? Anybody in the room, I mean. Not any of the millions outside of the room. Okay, Hector.
O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare.
Yes, extremely rare. And that's reiterated in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Anyone knows any verses from Bhagavad Gita about how rare it is to become a devotee? Which chapter? Ooh, is it chapter 19? Okay, don't worry about it. Some of you don't get that joke, it's fine. Don't worry about it, it's fine. It's, like I said, it's extremely rare to be a devotee, but the joke's lost on you, cool. All right, so let's get into King Citraketu, okay? What's this got to do with anything? Remember, this is a whole journey till we find out about Vrtrasura and how he comes onto the scene. But to get to that, Shukadev starts speaking about this king. King Citraketu is a really nice king. From a karmic point of view, very empowered, very powerful. Let's read a little bit about him. Can someone read this out, please?
These millions of
You read that right. Yeah. Carry on.
was endowed with a beautiful form, magnanimity, and youth. He was born in a high family. He had a complete education, and he was wealthy and opulent. Nevertheless, in spite of being endowed with all these assets, he was full of anxiety because he did not have a son.
Yeah, so he had everything. I mean, it's just a short description given, but he had everything. He was a rival, if not more so, to all the other kings at that time. And one thing on his mind, though, that was keeping him unhappy was the fact that he didn't have a son. Why should a king want to have a son? Huh? What? Yeah, an heir to the throne? I can't say it. Your voices are disappearing. Huh? Okay, same thing. Yeah, okay, fine. God, I think it's like... Okay, yeah. I heard it, but I didn't hear it. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And also, yeah, so an heir to the throne. In Vedic culture, why is it good to have a son? Yeah, so if you pass away and you don't make it to the spiritual kingdom and you go to the Pitraloka, the heavenly planet, the forefathers, then you know things like Shrad, then your ancestors could start doing that and keep you there. And they could keep you from going to a certain type of hell. So from that point of view, and also he just wanted a son too. So it's kind of a mixture of reasons that he wanted a son. And as a result, he didn't get it. He was kind of destined to not have a son. His wives are destined to be barren. He ended up marrying another wife or another set of wives and another set of wives. You know, I don't think he was getting jiggy with every single wife, but like he had so many wives and still he couldn't get a son, essentially, right? And it was playing on his mind, playing on his heart. And so we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail because I think this is the first thing that's really relevant to us apart from the rarity of devotion. And that is our reality is based on what we tend to focus upon. All of us are sitting here right now and looking relatively comfortable, and you're all fully clothed, thankfully, isn't it? But none of you are really conscious about your clothes on you right now. Otherwise, you might be thinking, this is chafing, this is feeling a bit uneven, this is feeling a bit crinkly, and then you'd be fixing this up, right? But you're not, because your consciousness isn't focused on that right now. It might be more now, because I've put it to your mind. Some of you are thinking, I should have ironed today. He never brings this up. This is the 1 week. It's okay, I never iron my clothes, so don't worry about it, it's fine. Right? And if you're very happy, you're generally speaking happy because you're not really focusing on things that are making you sad. And vice versa, when you're sad because you're not focusing on things that are uplifting, isn't it? And using that somehow you could also help yourself gravitate from one extreme to another extreme. But the point is, your mind is the way it is based on what you focus upon. And some things are involuntary, just forced into our minds. But many times, we're tending to focus on things that brings about a certain emotion or mood or feeling. Yeah? And so the idea is King Citraketu had so many things to be happy about. I'm sure if I did a poll in Leicester, imagine if you live your life up until the point you die, childless, but you could have every other thing you ever wanted in your life. I think a lot of people are like, all right, cool, it's a good trade-off, isn't it? Right? Most people, okay, fine, cool, I'll just like get a puppy or I'll adopt a son or I just, get by. You know, it's no issue, right? But here this king had everything, but he was focusing on the one thing he didn't have. And so there's a nice story. So this story is not from the Bhagavatam. This is like one of these stories with a moral message to it. The 99 Club. So as the story goes, there was one king, very rich, very happy, huge kingdom. Obviously he's got the stresses of the kingdom, protecting it from infringement, people complaining all the time, trying to keep his citizens happy. But you know, it's okay. He's walking around with his advisors, walking around his kingdom. He comes to some farmland territory, and one of his servants are there, and they're observing the servant from a distance, and the servant is sweeping outside, his wife's cooking something inside, and they're just very happy. They're singing songs together, they're with their kids, and the kids are happy, he's playing with the kids, and just looks genuinely joyful. And the king said to his advisor, why is this man so happy? He's at such a lower position to me. I mean, I'm bigger, more powerful, I've got more resources, got so much money, but I'm not that happy. Why is he so happy? And the advisor said, he's happy because he's not subscribed to the 99 Club. And the king's like, what's the 99 Club? And the advisor said, yeah, I'll show you what the 99 Club is. He said, okay, show me. So he said, I need you to give me 99 gold coins. So the king was like, okay. So he gave him a bag full of gold coins. And then when that servant wasn't watching, when he went back inside and closed the door, they put this bag of 99 coins in a bag just outside the door. And then you know how you play knock down ginger? Not that any of you have done that, but in southwest London sometimes we do that. You knock on someone's door and then you run. Huh? Yeah, knock down ginger. What do you call it in Leicester? Knock door. Yeah. Huh? Knock door run. Yeah, like in Leicester, they don't speak English as well as in England. That's the history of knock down ginger. Knock door down, or knock down door, or whatever alternative it is. Just speak English properly, okay? So anyway, 99 Club. So they knock down. I'm speaking like you. They knock on the door, and then they run. And then this guy who's super happy, you could hear the singing in the background. He's like, what's going on? There's no one here. And he sees this bag, looks around for everyone, like, there's no one there. So he picks up this bag, looks inside of it, and they're like, wow, it's gold. Golden coins. And he starts thinking, wow, there's so many, let me count it. So he starts bringing it out, counting it, gets from 1, 2, 3, 50, 80, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. He starts looking in the bag. Where's the 100th one? Is it like, have I dropped it? 99 coins. I mean, surely it must be 100. He counts it a second time, still 99. He starts looking around. Outside, he looks out. No, there's no 100th coin. He says to his wife, just recount this for me. So they count it again, but his wife's not so good at counting. So they get the son, and between them, they're like, no, Dad, it's 99. And he just can't take it. It's like 99 coins. It would be nice if it was rounded up. You know, a nice round 100. So he starts thinking, okay, I'm going to work extra hard so I could get that 100th coin. He starts working and working overtime. He realizes it actually takes a lot of work for him to get even one gold coin. So he starts like working all hours of the day. The family start missing him. You know, he gets a bit cranky when he comes home. The wife and the children get a bit cranky with him. And then what happens after a while is the wife thinking, this guy's crazy, you've got 99 coins. She goes away with 2 gold coins to go shopping, buy some dresses and some Prada shoes, comes back. The guy's counting, thinking, yo, it's gone from 99 to 90 flipping 7. It's decreased, we need to invest this, what's happening here? And he's like, what's happening here? The next day, the kid takes one to go buy some like footballs and stuff like that. He comes back, he's going down each day, and they're just shouting at one another. Anyway, 6 months later, the king comes with his advisor, and they go to the same spot, looking from a distance, and they can see. Whereas previously it was very joyful family life, singing, playing games, cuddling one another, wife and husband serving one another. Now it's shouting and blasphemy and hatred and just no love. It was devoid. And the king went to the advisor, what happened? It's only been 6 months. And the advisor went, in those 6 months, they joined the 99 Club. What is the 99 Club? Well, actually, you guys tell me, what is the 99 Club? Always wanting more? Good. What else?
Materialistic desires.
Yeah, so the idea is 99 Club means you've got 99 gold coins, is a lot, but you're obsessed with the one thing you don't have. So much so that you don't really use, enjoy, spend the things that you do have. And your life goes missing like that. And everything deteriorates. That's the 99 Club. Does it sound familiar? We're all part of a 99 Club. Yeah? I don't mean literally 99 gold coins, okay? But figuratively a 99 Club. And there's something missing in your life, and if you had that, wow, your life would be the bee's knees, as we say in London. What do you say in Leicester? Let's not even get into that one.
We say bee's knees as well.
Okay, some things actually came unaltered, okay? From London to Leicester.
Top tier.
Top tier, okay, that's a bit new age. Okay, so this is important in spiritual life. I want to introduce you to a couple of verses about the importance of not chasing material desires. Now, it's not wrong to pursue material desires. We all have a dharma. We've got different types of natures. We spoke about that in the Bhagavad Gita, that's there. But you know, with Citraketu, he was kind of pursuing something that seemed like out of his destiny. You know, you got so many partners, still no children, no son in particular. Someone might think, well, okay, let me just like enjoy life and just get on with life and move on to other things, maybe more important things. So here we got a couple of statements from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Someone could read this one out. First one here.
One should strictly follow the principle of always chanting the holy name, and one should be satisfied with whatever he gets easily. Such devotional behavior solidly maintains one's devotional service.
Yeah, so Shradanam Loibe, always take the holy name, but always be santosh. Always be just whatever comes quite easily without over endeavor. If that comes my way, cool. So long as I always have the chance to chant the holy names, and then whatever comes, like, you know, I try and endeavor and it comes and Krishna's maintaining me like that, that's cool, that's all I need. Yeah? Eito achar kore. This is the achar, this is the etiquette, this is the culture, bhakti dharma push, that maintains bhakti. Very, very important verse. This verse doesn't get quoted a lot by devotees, but it should be there. You know how we have Vaishnava etiquette culture training? This should be there, I say, amongst the top few pages. Eito achar kore, bhakti dharma push. Mahaprabhu is saying this to his associates. This is the achar, this is the etiquette that maintains bhakti. Always chant the holy names and get by in this world and do what you need to do, and whatever comes easily, without compromising that principle of always being able to chant, you accept that. And anything more, okay, if it comes easily by its own accord, great. If it doesn't, don't stress out about it. It's not the purpose of life. Yeah? Prabhupada said, simple living, higher thinking. It's basically this. Yeah? Making sure your life is not so entangled that you have a chance to practice bhakti, which is so rare, we spoke about. Very important. Yeah? So this is in the beginning of the CC, in the Adi Leela, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, another verse. Can someone read this out as well? Similar principle. Somebody else would like to read? Okay, can anyone here read? I know that's also rare in Leicester. Who could read here? Umika, you could read? Okay, please prove it.
Because the devotee of Lord Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. Fruitive workers desire material enjoyment, jnanis desire liberation, and yogas desire material opulence. Therefore they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful.
Yes, so Krishna Bhakto Nishkam Otoibo Shanto. So Krishna's devotee has no material desires. The only desire to satisfy Krishna, what's important for me, is what's important for serving Krishna. Outside of that, I don't really have too many things, just maintenance, but that's pretty much it. That's a real devotee. Otoibo Shanto. Therefore, they are peaceful. They're satisfied. Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Ashokali, Ashanto. But everyone else, especially Bhukti, those who are trying to enjoy the world for themselves, divorced from serving Krishna, what matters to them most is just enjoying this world. And if God allows them to do that, then there's God in my life. And if God doesn't allow to do that, then there's no, or whether he's there or not, I don't really care. Yeah? That type of person is always, what's the opposite of peaceful? Distressed, anxious, worried, 99 club mentality. Yeah?
They're always like constantly hankering as well.
Yeah, there's hankering, there's lamentation, there's all of these sort of things. And what to speak of if you approach spirituality in the same way too, they're also fulfilling the same role, that actually they're looking for something always, and therefore they're anxious even in spiritual life. I always make this point to the junior people that come through the courses, especially the ones that are super keen, super eager. It's great that you're eager, but make sure this isn't just spiritual bypassing, that you're trying to run away from your problems and invest in this and think that you're getting advanced spiritually.
It's interesting, Jnani's desiring liberation is also lusty.
Yeah, definitely. Why is that the case? Because they're trying to do it according to their own strength. Whereas devotees, just whatever pleases Krishna, whether we get liberated, so-called liberated or not, for us, whatever makes Krishna smile. That's it. Yeah? Yeah, good point. Okay, so I want you to think about this, because we're running out of time. Or maybe we could do this very quickly. Let's just do this very quickly. Otherwise, we could just run through the points, but then, what's the point of that? Any thoughts from anyone on this? Anything that's kind of churning inside? Anything that you're thinking, I've been guilty of not being satisfied? The house program we had at Shivani's house, Maharaj was speaking about Rod Stewart, I can't get no satisfaction. And I try and I try and I try, right? You should hear that song, but obviously don't dance to it or anything, just hear it. Understand, even though the song is catchy, there's a hell of a lot of frustration that created that song, okay? Can't get any satisfaction, why? Because he's trying. This is basically what the verse is saying, right? 500 years ago, yeah? So, even in the name of spiritual life, that we're approaching spiritual life, but for all the wrong reasons. Even without knowing, we've kind of slipped from pure, unadulterated devotional service, the principles that hold that up, to something where it's like, well, I just want to get the most attention. I'm feeling insecure at work, at home, so I want to get that security here amongst the devotees. Or, I want to be known as a person that's the most selfless. We hanker for these things. And these things, therefore, stall our progress in spiritual life as well. Yeah? Anyone else wants to share some realizations? Anshul, you want to share something now rather than at the end? Do you want to share something now? No? Okay, you're looking stressed. It's fine. Don't be stressed. Remember, you're supposed to be a devotee of Krishna. Okay, anyone else wants to share something that may be a common pitfall? Okay, yes, Smith.
Just on the peaceful life, verse 529, peaceful how Krishna
Yeah.
is beneficial if we offer everything to Krishna rather than to ourselves, then that leads to peace. I was trying to make it too.
Yeah, gyatva mam shantim rachati. One obtains peace very quickly if they know Third line is Krishna's my best friend. Right? Krishna's the owner of everything, the topmost of all the planets, beneficiary of all these yagyas. One who knows that, who acts according to that principle, then yeah, there's peace for them. The minute we think, no, it's not Krishna, it's me, and I have to control, and I have to make this myself, then naturally there'll be anxiety. Now, Prabhupada gives that example of the child that's lost. I've given this example so many times. Lost, so many strangers in the train station. As soon as it finds its mother, falls into the lap of the mother. Same situation, but completely peaceful, right? So it seems like such a basic concept, but it's not practically, to just fall into Krishna's arms. Just implement his instructions. Just take a chance for like a month. Take a chance for 6 months. Take a chance for a year. I'm just going to just follow this. See how I feel. But there's a lot of, oh, but what if and what that, and up until now I've got some sense of control. No, that's illusory. And the minute you fall into Krishna's arms, you could see it's illusory. When you don't do it, then it's a bit like, well, I mean, I can see I do X, Y, and then Z comes. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Okay, anyone else wants to share something before we crack on? Abhimanyu, you want to share something?
I had a question actually.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, you know, Ashtanga yogis, they could get sidetracked with these mystical siddhis. I think there's like 8 main ones, and then is it like 10 minor ones or something like that? 12, I can't remember how many. But anyway, like that. So, you know, you have the ability to control others, to obtain things from a different geographical location, become lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heavy, all of these sort of things we hear about, we read about. And so sometimes, these are like byproducts. And so I'll make the parallel with bhakti in a second. So what happens is the yogi starts taking themselves very seriously, like, oh wow, I'm actually controlling, manipulating material nature. And then subtly they start thinking, well, I'm like gods, and then people should follow me, and then they start walking off the path. Initially they went on the path to get liberated from all of these attachments. Now the very side effects or the byproducts is entangle them and taking them away. And in bhakti that could also be the case, that if we do bhakti, sometimes bhakti begets bhakti, but bhakti could beget money, fame, opulence, things that could help us in devotional service. But if we're not careful, we start thinking, well, actually, because I did it in a certain way, it's because of me that I'm famous now. Or if you don't think like that, I'm famous, so I should take this fame seriously. It's not Krishna's hands, and it can kind of take you away from pure devotional service after a while. That makes sense? Okay. Any other thoughts, realizations about keeping life simple or simpler, slightly more simple? Krishna, any thoughts from me?
It's funny you say that, is because recently I have been feeling, I just wondering, with everything going on with my health and stuff, things haven't been too great. So I just want to, I don't know what it is, but I feel like maybe the more I'm chanting, the more I just want to simplify everything. And it's not something that I've heard or anything, it's just a desire that's coming from inside. Just want to simplify everything, and yeah, not too much. Like before I used to be like, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna do this, that. Now I just don't have that. If I do earn anything, I do it with the intention of, well, how can I use this to serve Krishna? That's the sort of desire I'm getting. That's
Wow.
what's going through my head right
It's like the holy names purified the hell out of Krishna. Whatever demonic qualities were there, just been thrown out by Sri Harinam Prabhu. That's good. Just keep chanting. It'll get worse. Okay. All right. Very nice. Let's crack on then, okay? Oh, yes, Smith. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was trying to find it, but I read it today or yesterday or something, but Prabhupada said, he gave the example of like, no one's learned smoking, and it's come from association, and then he gave another example. He said that's also come from association, so the desires, they come from like, the senses coming into contact with something, or association with someone, so if we try and divert that to devotees and take association from that, or put our senses into Krishna consciousness, then those desires get changed.
You know, just because you mentioned smoking, something came to my mind from my university days. Like, because I used to chill out with a lot of different people. And some of the people are quote unquote cool players, and you know, they do all of these sort of things. Not that I was anything like that, but just somehow, because I was relatively good at football, like, you know, you draw that sort of crowd as well. And I was good at pool. Anyway, I was good at many things. So then, like, you know, you just get people around you, and you're like, you know, I don't want to offend anyone, so I could chill out with someone, no problem. So this guy was telling me like smoking is the best thing and I should try it, and I was like, nah, man, Like, you know, and then he was like, no, trust me, best feeling ever is, he gave a couple of scenarios, I'm forgetting. Once you've eaten something and you've taken a smoke, that's like the best thing. And like that, he had some other situation. And I was like, my friend, you know, smoking is making you so anxious that when you smoke, you're just normal. But that normal fear makes you feel so blissful. I'm feeling like that flipping all the time. Do you not understand? That's why I'm always smiling. And you, when you don't have a smoke, you're just anxious for a smoke. And when you get the smoke, it's just you just not craving for a while. That's all it is. Can't you see that? And he was like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Goody two shoes. I was like, no, I think I do. Like, you know, why don't you go for a fag right now then? Like, you know, I was taking a mick out of him. Generally, it's like that. Peace in this world is just distraction from the craving. Like, you know, we're looking for peace, so we go watch a film, go on a holiday, drink something. It's just distracting us from the craving in our mind. That's all it is. And the reason why we're feeling anxious is because we're not following this routine. We're imposing the anxiety onto us, and then when we get some relief from the anxiety, we're thinking, oh, this is blissful. It's like me knocking my head against the wall repeatedly, and then not knocking my head against the wall for the next minute thinking, wow, moksha. No, man, you're an idiot. Stop being like a woodpecker or whatever it is, isn't it? We're inflicting these miseries upon ourselves. Adhyatmika klesha, adhibautika klesha, adhidevika klesha. Again, sounds so simple, isn't it? You hear it in a few examples, like then you think, flip, this is me. You know, when I'm having a good time, it's just me taking myself away from the anxiety that I imposed upon myself. But it's not sustainable like that. It's just escapism.
But probably, you know, I hear you, and you know, I'm on that side of the fence to my beliefs, but you meet people that don't appear to have that, but are not spiritual either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't ever explain that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You see,
that's
also,
ignorance.
no, it's good to know about why it is. You know, if you've got a lot of good karma, say if you're playing Monopoly and you got a good roll of the dice, and you're thinking, wow, this guy's cracked the Monopoly game. But just give it long enough. Even if they're karmically supposed to have a very good life, relatively trouble-free, still, philosophically, there's old age, disease, and death, and at the end of it, what's going to happen? So remember, if you're analyzing any conditioned jiva, you have to look at it beyond any decade, any 50 years, any 100 years, any one lifetime. Make sense? Because if in this lifetime they're meant to have a relatively trouble-free life, because they were very charitable, but they did something wrong as well, and the reactions for that is coming up in the next lifetime, who's now trouble-free? See? So our vision has got to be a lot more expansive than just this one lifetime. Otherwise, this one lifetime, yeah, some people seems like they're doing better than the others, of course, if it's one lifetime, but it's not one lifetime. So that's like that's a good point always, because sometimes we do look at others and think, yeah, but he's not worshipping Krishna or religious, and he's worshipping Satan. Maybe I should worship Satan. Bro, just give it a bit of time. You'll see where Satan will take him. Okay? Why trust the here and the now? This is one case where, yeah, be in the present. No, don't just be in the present. Be outside the phases of time as well. Yeah? Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to crack on then, if that's okay. So, let's get further into the story. We're going to now meet one of the main players, one of the main rishis, Angira Muni or Angira Rishi. What does Muni mean again? Yeah, sage. Something more specific. Do you remember teachings of Queen Kunti? Clearly. One who's a great thinker. Yeah? Okay. Obviously, we've got many Munis here. So this Angira Rishi, he's a bit like Narad Muni, and you see Narad Muni will come into the scene a little bit later. So he's traveling all around the universe, carefree, trouble-free, no other material engagements, because he's fully taken shelter of spiritual life. And by his sweet will, of course we know nothing happens by chance, but by his sweet will, he ends up coming to the kingdom of King Citraketu. Yeah? And Citraketu welcomes him, offers him some hospitality, and Angira Muni is asking him how he is, and he gives him some advice that's specific for Kshatriyas, but we could take the essence of it here. So let's read these couple of verses together. First verse, can someone read this out?
The king is always protected by 7 elements: his instructor, Swami and Guru, his ministers, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order,
Okay, so the 7 things are there that the king should look to invest into. That will give him some peace of mind and he'll be happy. What's the one that I've highlighted? Instructor, Swami or Guru. So this is one personality that King Citraketu hadn't taken guidance or shelter of up until now. At least it's not documented in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm not aware in other Puranas either. But seemingly here, he comes to this conclusion that he needs a son and my life is incomplete without it, and he hasn't really taken any spiritual shelter. Yeah? And in fact, this is the first opportunity he can, which is very interesting. First opportunity he can take shelter of a sadhu. We're going to see what happens. And then he's given some more instructions here. Anshul, you want to read this one out? Yeah, Anshul, so we could hear you, yeah?
When a king directly depends upon his associates and follow their instructions, he is happy. Similarly, when his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follow his orders, they are also happy.
So this reciprocal relationship between the king and his citizens of his kingdom, and then a king can be happy. Yeah, not just one way, not just dictatorship. So this is like Niti Shastra, this is Kshatriya Dharma, and a rishi is supposed to be making sure that everyone who's conditioned is as well situated as possible by following the Dharma of Varnashram Dharma. Yeah? So it behooves us to know a little bit, because we're not all pure devotees, so what does it mean to be settled in civilization in such a way that's dharmic, that's uplifting my consciousness, or at least allow me to progress, rather than me approaching this world and this society in such a way that I'm playing knock down ginger, knock door down, or whatever it is, and degrading my consciousness, right? What is the way that I could progress? So he's making sure, are you well settled? He's asking him these questions. But then, why is the person entering the chat now? What time is it? If I knew their name, I would have properly called them out. Okay. These guys are covert. They're coming under code names. So I can't call them out. Otherwise it'll be Samsung i5, whatever. Why are you late? But I can't be bothered now. But he says one thing, because King Citraketu doesn't look peaceful. Doesn't look peaceful, even though seemingly, like we spoke about, he's got all of these things going for him. Kingdom's going well. He's running the shop well. But Angira says you look a little bit anxious. Can someone read this out for me? Thanks, Lena. Yes, thank you, Lena.
O King Citraketu, I can observe that your mind is not pleased. You seem not to have achieved your desired goal. Is this because of you yourself, or has it been caused by others? Your pale face reflects your deep anxiety.
So just so you know, Angira Rishi is somewhat, let's say, psychic. He could just diagnose the problem just like this. And we see in the Bhagavatam that the king says, you pretty much know everything anyway. So I'm just telling you for formality's sake. Okay? I just thought of this just now. Why do you think he doesn't just say, yo, this is what it is? Why not cut out all the niceties and say, look, I know what the problem is? Okay, he wants him to open up to him. So that's important as well for many reasons. Yeah?
I guess when he gets into introspect, he gets to see his issue himself. So
Okay, so yeah, go on, sir.
by opening up to someone else, you become more aware of your own.
So becoming aware of the problem yourself. Okay, Hema? Okay, so understanding his level of consciousness. So these are all good answers, for sure. Okay, yeah, Shanice?
Is he showing sort of sign of respect?
Shanice, that's what I used to wear back in the day, just so you know. Yeah, go on. But well, back in Ernest Bevan secondary school, not when I was your age. Huh? I didn't. I know some cats that did, but no. I meant the Adidas, but yeah, fine. Yeah, no problem. Is that real Adidas or fake Adidas? Okay, let's not get into it. Let's not get into it. Okay, yeah.
I think he's showing like a sign of respect by not just
Okay, that's good. So showing respect as well. Sometimes you don't want to say, otherwise it's like a fun game, right? Yo, I know what you're thinking, there's no conversation going on there. Something else I'm looking for?
Life lessons.
Huh?
Just saying life lessons. If you don't go through yourself, then how are you going to learn truly?
Okay, so that's there. You need to go through something to learn. Yeah, so I think you're pretty much in the right direction.
It's just to connect on a conversational level.
Okay, so there's connection as well. Okay, so inducing humility to sages, that's a good answer. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Building trust. So
Okay, building trust. Okay, so there's connection development, empathy, report. Yeah, I got that stuff. They teach that nowadays, yeah?
He's
Uh,
showing the bigger picture here.
He's showing the bigger picture. He won't right now. Won't right now. Or maybe should I just let this unfold and then we could ask this question, yeah? I'll let this unfold. Okay, so just remind me that these questions are still unanswered to some degree. So here, Citraketu is going to be speaking. He's revealing his mind now that he's been invited to. So what does Citraketu say? Baf, you want to read this out?
As a person who, by hunger and thirst, is not pleased by the external gratification of flower garlands or sandalwood coal, am not pleased with my empire, opulence, or possessions, which are desirable even for great demigods, because I have no soul.
Yeah, so this is what Citraketu is saying. This is the cause of his anxiety, his lamentation, and he's making this point, you know, if someone's really hungry, if they get all the other aspects of hospitality, but no drink, no food, they're still not going to be satisfied. In the same way, I've got everything, but if I don't have a son that will help deliver me, that will carry on my lineage, that will look after the kingdom, then in the same way, I could have everything else, but I won't be satisfied. At least that's his understanding, his point of view. And then what does Angira Rishi do? Very interesting. Okay, can someone... Okay, now I'll just read this out. So he just says, okay, fine, you want a son? No problem. I'll help you get one. So they conduct a ceremony with Twashta, a fire yagya, a fire sacrifice. And in that fire sacrifice, one of the things that's offered is paish, or sweet rice. And then the remnants of that is given back to the king, and he's instructed to offer it to one of his wives that he wants to conceive the child with. And that rice is given to his first of many millions of wives, Kritaduti. She's also the most beautiful, the most favored by him too. That will come on a little bit later as well. And what happens is then they have union. Kritaduti then conceives all of a sudden, and she's pregnant basically. But the sage Angira says something else very interesting before disappearing off the scene. So let's see what he says. Can somebody else read this out? Yogini, you want to read?
Thereafter the great sage told the king, O great king, now you will have a son who will be the cause of both jubilation and lamentation. The sage then left without waiting for Citraketu's response.
Very mysterious, right? Your child will be Harsha Shoka Prada. Prada means to give. Harsha means what? Yeah, happiness, and Shoka means distress, yeah? So be one who gives happiness and distress. Or like here, you know, jubilation and lamentation. Basically the same thing. And then he just leaves, just like that. Very mysteriously, just like the way he appears, he just leaves just like this. And the king's thinking, okay. He reasons in his mind something like, you know, well, I mean, every child gives happiness and distress. That's just normal. Or maybe it could be something like this. I've heard this explanation too, that he'll grow up, become a great king, even more powerful than me, and maybe there might be some power conflict. Maybe he might do some Adamic things, but okay, it's better than not having a son at all. So he comes and reasons with it, you know. Harsha Shoka Pada, yeah, but that's like every son. There'll be some like happiness, some disobedience, and therefore some grief, right? It's like that with every kid, yeah? So interestingly here, King Citraketu knows what the problem is. He didn't ask him directly, allows him to open his mouth, and then he helps him with that desire. But then we spoke about the 99 Club as well, prior to that. So why didn't Angira Rishi just say, no, you're dissatisfied for a deeper purpose? Why did he just play along with this?
Because he needs to learn from all of the
My man needs to learn.
and all the problems that he
Yeah. You know, it's very important for a person to understand the problem themselves. I've done many courses to many people. Some of you get it like this. Some of you get it after a year. Some of you get it if something bad happens to you. And some of you just don't get it. Same information, same slides, the same flipping jokes, everything. The formula is immaculate. Trust me. Well rehearsed. Some of you get it. Isn't it, Smith? You ask this question to everyone. Say, what does it take? Hard to know, Smith. I've tried variances of the same jokes. I've tried appealing to the ego. I've tried dissing mans. I've tried everything, okay? The person has to come to the realization themselves. Angira gave him the chance. He didn't want the real medicine. He wanted the 100th coin. Yeah? So sometimes you have to know the 100th coin isn't what I wanted, actually. Yeah? But we'll get into that a little bit later. But just this point of approaching the right person, but for the wrong thing. So many examples. Some of you have heard me say these stories to death recently and in the past. There's a very nice story with Srila Prabhupada. One time they were in India, they boarded a train going north towards Nellore, and there was a rousing kirtan because Prabhupada was leaving them and going up north. And amazing ecstatic kirtan on the platform, and this alerted to many of the people, the passengers on the train, that Prabhupada is there, someone special, someone powerful, something like that. Anyway, so they were boarding the first class part of the carriage, which means it's still dirty, it's India, but you get some privacy, right? You can close the doors, you get privacy. So they're there, and then what's happening is there's 3 gentlemen in particular that are hanging outside like hawks, and they're seeing Srila Prabhupada. And the disciples of Prabhupada, I think it was Tama Krishna Maharaj and maybe 2 other sannyasis, they kind of saw and thinking, he's just probably going to come in and hassle Prabhupada and ask him for something materialistic, and they were basically ignoring them. Even when they were going to the loo, they were kind of quickly opening the door and shutting it behind them, and blanking the guys and hoping that they'll just go away. But these Indian gentlemen, they were thinking, okay, Prabhupada's obviously a sannyasi, a swami, he's cultured. If we could get his attention, if he'll somehow see us, then he'll let us in. So even though the disciples blanking them and not engaging with them, they somehow managed to get Prabhupada's attention, and Prabhupada sees them in the periphery of his vision, and he says, okay, you could just let them come in. So they come into the carriage, they sit on the opposite side and they're smiling. And Prabhupada initially exchanged some niceties like, what's your name, where are you from, where do you work, all the rest of it, and then like that. And then Prabhupada says, okay, so how can I help you? And then they say, oh, we just wanted to get your blessings. And Prabhupada shot back, what is that blessing? Now, they were stunned. Like the person recounting this was saying there was some audible silence, some tension, because no one had ever asked them, what blessing? It's like, always give me blessings, okay? But Prabhupada's like, no, but what blessing? And so they were baffled, and then one guy started stuttering and saying, well, Swamiji, I've got some pain in my knee. And then they're thinking, this is like a bad thing. And they're saying, but and my families, they need blessings as well. And of course, we want to do some good for mankind. And he started trailing off, realizing he wasn't impressing Srila Prabhupada so much. And then Prabhupada basically indicated, either with his vision or with his hands, his 3 disciples. Dundas, shaven head, shika, saffron robes, or dhoti kurta. And Prabhupada said, he indicated them and said, this is my blessing. This is my blessing. These guys have given up everything for Krishna's service and to chant Hare Krishna. Are you willing to accept such a blessing from me today? And these guys were shook. And they said, they were stunned. They basically hurriedly got up and said, oh, no, probably Swamiji, actually we've got so many family duties, and this kind of a life of a sannyasi is not for us. And they just profusely apologized and they bailed out quick time. And everyone in the carriage was laughing, and Prabhupada was nodding his head and smiling. And I'm just going to read this out, exactly what Prabhupada said. He said, this is the problem. They simply take a sadhu as some means for avoiding paying the doctor's bill. That's all. Ashirvad, Maharaj. What does Ashirvad mean again? Yeah, give me blessings. So Maharaj, Swami, please give me blessings. They are not serious about spiritual life. That could apply to so many of us before we came to this classroom, even as approaching the classroom and leaving it. Maybe we're not serious. And we've got to be humble, we've got to be honest about it, right? Few other stories here. I'll just tell them very quickly because we're running out of time. Sadhu and the mouse, I've told this a lot recently because I had some realization about it. Sadhu is empowered, he's got this mystical siddhis, he's able to grant benedictions. A mouse approaches the sadhu and says, all these cats are chasing me. If I became a cat, I'd be happy. Tatashtu become a cat, he ends up becoming a cat. The cat comes back after a few days saying, no, all the dogs are chasing me. If I become a dog, I'll be happy. Can you make me a dog? Become a dog, becomes a dog. Comes back after a few days. Well, actually in the jungle, the king is a tiger, and whenever the tiger's about, I have to run away from my food. So make me a tiger, I'll be happy. Makes him a tiger. Then the tiger starts looking at the sadhu thinking, here's my lunch. And then the sadhu says, Puna Mushtika Bhav, again, become a mouse. And so the idea is, this is how we approach sadhus. I've got so many problems. If you make me more powerful than my enemies, then I'll be happy. And then we go, oh Radhika, flipping hell, you're here. Wow, yo, take a picture of this. Send it to her as well. All right, she won't believe it. She'll be like, flipping hell, who's this? All right, anyway, sorry Radhika. I'm so happy you're here, genuinely so happy you're here. We'll catch up later anyway. If you got time, obviously, I know you're super busy. You only come once a year. But okay, if you got time, we'll catch up, no issue. If you don't, that's also fine. All right, so and then we go again, say like our life's now better, but then we feel insecure in other ways. Then we approach and say, no, if I have this thing, then I'll be happy. And then finally, if you make me into a king amongst men, the most beautiful, the most handsome, then I'll be happy. And then what happens is, after asking for these benedictions, we end up developing qualities that makes us envious of spiritual nature, jealous of devotees and Krishna. And then we end up developing this destructive mentality that ends up taking us back down the chain, because we created so many aparads, into the mouse form or something lower possibly. Approaching the right person for the wrong thing. And then just to really hammer the last nail home, Prabhupada tells this story about this old lady. She's got these branches on her head, as they do, going from place to place to sell the wood. It falls and she just says automatically, oh Krishna. And Krishna appears and Krishna says, what can I do? And she says, can you help lift up this wood and put it back on my head? And Krishna does that. And as soon as he does that, he just leaves, just like that. And this lady starts walking, but after a while she realizes, I'm an idiot. Could have asked Krishna for anything. All I did was ask him to put this headache back on my head. Asking for the wrong thing. Yeah? And we've been doing this moment after moment, decade after decade, life after life. Now's the time to change. Prabhupada said, you know you're making progress because the next time you go to Radha Madhav and you say to them, what can I do for you? That's the start of your bhakti journey. What can I do for you? Yeah? With this life. With this pathetic life that I've engineered to make me forget and hate you, what can I do for you? Yeah? That's what we start asking. Okay, I'm just going to share this last slide, and then I wanted to finish early just because, have a bit of breathing space, and also the Saturday group will get jealous if we get too far ahead. So we're going to just do an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. And Smith wants to film some of you as well. See, Smith, I'm helpful. So, just very quickly, King's happy. As you can see in this picture, Krita Duty, the queen, she's happy. The baby looks quite happy as well, actually. I didn't even think about that. This baby looks real charming, huh? But there's someone not looking very happy in this picture. Who are these guys? Or who are these ladies?
The wives.
These are the other co-wives, the millions and millions of co-wives. And these queens are agitated. Why are they agitated? Because the favorite queen's got the son. And now the king's spending all of his time with this one queen. And we're not even like maidservants. At least the maidservant can take part. He's just like neglecting us like we don't even exist. He's neglecting his dharma to his other wives. And we're feeling very bitter and very jealous. And I'll put in a few points here from the verses and some realizations. Unhealthy comparisons. The reason why we're unhappy is because of this baby. The baby ain't done flipping anything. Baby's just been born. What's a baby supposed to do? But this baby is the cause of my distress. So unhealthy comparisons that, yes, I'm not like Krita Duty. If I was like her, I would be happy. With the 100th coin that was missing from me, I would be happy. So unhealthy comparisons. What else happens? There was no support, no pacification, no emotional support, no physical support, no reassurance from Citraketu. So already feeling insecure, already having unhealthy comparisons, but no one to really put them right and say, no, you're being silly. And they're actually feeling legitimately neglected, no love in their life. And what's happening? They're hanging out with each other. A satsanga, tyag, you're supposed to be giving up unhealthy association with people that are just focused on the temporary. A satsanga. Instead, we should have satsang, people that are focused on eternality. A satsanga tyag, a Vaisnava char, Mahaprabhu says. This is also the achar, the etiquette of a devotee, that they give up sangha with people that are just focused on the temporary. Here we have a satsanga. They're all insecure, None of them have the solution or the remedy, but they're all ganging around with each other and talking about how to help each other. That spells trouble, right? That's the forecast, that's the weather forecast, right? There's going to be stormy weather ahead. So all of these things meant that they started developing envy. And as envy increases, one's intelligence decreases. Yeah? So this is from the verses here. How does envy manifest? We'll see what happened in their lives, in their consciousness. As they became envious, this is what happened to them. They started becoming very hard-hearted, whereas previously they were very joyful, loving people. Now they became very bitter, very twisted. Like I said, they started to lose intelligence because they were blaming a baby for their unhappiness, even though the baby's not done anything to them. They're thinking, no, it's this baby that's causing us to lament. Envy is stopping them from seeing the root cause. Just like for all of us, right? Why am I unhappy? Because of envy, because of material designation, we don't see the root cause. We look for, you know, my phone just needs a new cover. Or my car just needs to be pimped out a little bit. Right? In the same way, this body needs to be pimped up, need a new hairstyle or bigger this or whatever it might be nowadays that flows. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be less envious. No, it don't work like that. Yeah? So then what happens as a result of all of this, of missing the root cause, of becoming intolerant of their emotions, something that normally would be quite trivial is now occupying their consciousness, occupying their heart, contaminating their soul, so to speak. Then what happens is their consciousness becomes poisoned, and what's internal manifests externally. Because their consciousness is poisoned, they ended up poisoning the baby. They killed the baby. And so this is very interesting. What's internal, what we meditate on, if we don't rectify, if we don't reprocess devotionally, it comes out in one way or another. Obviously here it's come out in a very direct way, but it could come out with frustration, it could come out with jealousy, it could come out with stress, it could come out with so many things. But ultimately here, it's the epitome of emotions, it's just jealousy and envy when it reaches its zenith is, I have to destroy that thing that I can't have myself. Whether it's someone's car, or steal someone's jewelry, or, you know, whatever it might be. But here, you know, if I can't have a child myself, nobody should have a child. Yeah? This is purely tamasic. Yeah? Yeah, okay, Smith.
No support, I don't quite get that.
No support as in from the husband, isn't it, Citraketu? So no reassurance from the husband. They were feeling insecure, Citraketu was ignoring them. So while feeling insecure, there wasn't anyone to support them.
So as a prevention of going to envy, there should be some support of like spiritual.
Yeah, definitely. Spiritual people, at the very least, people that are healthy. Yeah, that's the idea. Like, you know the example I give in the Ramayana, when Sita was entrapped in Lanka by Ravan, and then what happens is Ravan gets this like sorcery, you could say, to conjure up the head of Ram and his bow and arrows, even though Ram's still alive, throws that head of Ram at Sita, and Sita sees it, and for a moment she thinks, oh my God, he's dead. She starts crying, has suicidal thoughts, the whole thing is there. And Ravan's really trying to tempt her to sleep with him now. Like, you know, you've got no support, you've got no shelter now. So what are you waiting for now? I told you, he's nothing compared to me, right? And then she's like, you know, even when Ravan gets summoned away to a meeting, she's still thinking, oh my God, you know, better to kill myself. But then Vibhushan's wife is there, Saram, and she starts comforting Sita, and in a very interesting way, she says to Sita, think about it. If Ram was dead, all the soldiers, all the monkeys, all the bears in the Vanara army, they would die naturally. But can you still hear the war cries outside? It's still going on. And if Ram was dead and everybody else was dead, then why was Ravan summoned to a meeting all of a sudden? It looked very like an emergency meeting, like something was going wrong, they needed a chief commander to deal with it. If it was something minor, they could have just approached it with one of the commanders on the army, on the battlefield. And ultimately, beyond your logic, think about it in your heart. Does Ram feel like he's dead? And by slowly contemplating these things, and Sita, her consciousness, her love for Ram became revived. Yeah? So sometimes we need that support from people that are situated in tattva, but with sensitivity as well. Yeah? Make sense? Okay, goody two shoes. So, what was I about to say here? poison consciousness comes out. Yes, so our poison consciousness comes out and it damages what other people have given birth to in this world. So it's very interesting, this concept of Harsha Shoka. I was thinking about this a lot. Harsha Shoka, you can kind of see now. This child would be the cause of your Harsha, but also your Shoka, your lamentation. But also the birth of the child was the cause of the lamentation of the queens. Interesting, isn't it? It's like we're all kind of interconnected and influencing each other without realizing. And giving birth to someone's jubilation is ended up in giving birth to someone's lamentation. And somebody else's lamentation is giving birth to someone else's jubilation, or giving birth to somebody else's lamentation after they were very happy. And we're just doing that, conflicting with each other, blinded by false ego, bumping into one another. Sometimes it's a nice bump, like a fist bump, and sometimes it's a fist bump somewhere else. And that's all that's happening. Harsha Shoka all over again. Whereas in the spiritual world, and with devotees also here, not in the spiritual world, it's different, that there's appreciation. So when you compare to someone in the mode of goodness, you appreciate this guy's got a Rolex. Do people wear Rolexes now? What's a good name brand now? Huh? Rolex? Any of you got a Rolex? Not doing it so well, huh? Okay, no problem. Casio. Okay, whatever it might be, okay? No judgment here. You like appreciate, okay, good watch. They must have worked really hard. Maybe there's some lessons I could take so I could become like this person and bust out with a Rolex watch myself. So it's a comparison in the mode of goodness. Comparison in the mode of passion is, I like that Rolex, I wish I had it myself. I feel this burning, feeding inside. What is that feeling? It's jealousy. And comparison in the mode of ignorance is no appreciation, not even jealousy, but why should this idiot get it? If I can't get it, he definitely shouldn't get it, so I'm going to do something about it. Same thing in different modes. Yeah? So we've got to be careful what mode we're under. But in spiritual life, because they're beyond the modes, when the bees are humming next to Krishna, it's described by the acharyas, there can be a moment when everybody else is singing or making noise. It's just so silent so they could hear the bees' glorification of Krishna. So there everybody is appreciating, even though there's different services and different forms, still there's appreciation beyond the modes. Why beyond the modes? Because it's not just about I wish I was like this, or I could become like that. It's actually not impeding the glorification of Krishna. Their comparison doesn't impede the glorification or the service of Krishna. In fact, it takes it closer. Yeah? So that's the difference between our world and Krishna's world. And so this is how we're giving birth to Harsha Shoka. Now, there was a powerful point, but like I say, it's 8:44. I think we should call it a day. But remind me, we're going to come back to this point because there's a question I was going to ask you about spiritual life and envy as well. So it sounds like a real climax and we should have finished it, but we'll leave it for now. And there's a second point to this in the next slide as well. Okay, Hare Krishna, hopefully you've enjoyed it so far. I know we've been going kind of slowly, we're plodding along, but still I think it's worthwhile so we could dissect it and understand it. Does anyone have any last few reflections or questions before we call it a day?
Just one announcement at the end.
Oh, announcements at the end? Okay, yep.
I just had a question. The previous slides, the question that you asked us, which we can answer.
Oh yeah, what was that again?
I can't remember. It was a few slides back.
What was the question?
Why didn't he just not say directly to him?
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's the question, yeah. So why didn't Angira just say, no, it's not the sun, this is what you need the connection with Krishna. Basically, anyway, it's an anticlimax now. Essentially, he didn't realize the answer, or he didn't realize what he's looking for himself. So to aid that, Angira goes for the long ball game. Like, just keep them going, string them along until they realize, you know what, I'm going to ask you for the right thing now. Just like Prabhupada with all those people, could have said he could have given a whole lecture about KC, but he decided it was kind of wasted on his people because their consciousness is at a certain level where they're just not ready for the message to penetrate them just yet. So it could be, again, this is not in Acharya's commentary, but if we're philosophically speculating, it could be that Angira could have said the same thing, but because he was so anxious about getting a son, just like we hear about Dhruva, was so anxious about getting a kingdom, even when he hears the right message, he's like, no, that's for someone else. I'm in the mode of passion, I'm a Kshatriya, I know what a Kshatriya needs. Yeah, does that make sense? But for him to eventually realize what he really needs, he needs to go through this. And so sometimes Angera Muni, Narad Muni gives it direct, and sometimes they don't give it direct. Sometimes they say the point directly, sometimes they give an allegory or metaphor so the person thinks, aha, I'm that person. So it doesn't hit the ego in such a direct way. Make sense?
Penny needs to drop at the right time.
Yeah, bare pennies need to drop into that piggy bank. Okay, just very quickly, we've got a couple of announcements. If you could keep them short and sweet. Yes, Ajay?